Okay, so this is a quick kind of walkthrough of this presentation for grammar practice number 2, which is going to be due at the end of Wednesday, March 3rd. So you're probably accessing this at some point on Wednesday, March 3rd. If not, that's fine. Just make sure that you know the ultimate goal of this video and going through this is for you to go and visit No Red Ink and finish the practice number 2. So there are a lot of different elements to understanding the lesson for practice number 2 in No Red Ink. Ultimately, the goal is for you to be able to improve your success with using commas. I mean, it's that simple. If we were to look at it more complicated and give it some terms, one of the ways that we can improve comma usage is by looking at clauses and conjunctions. So clauses are parts of a sentence and conjunctions are words that we use to combine parts of sentences. The issue that I see every year with students is the use of commas. It's kind of a hard thing to use. There are students who like to throw it out, commas like confetti. Other students don't use enough commas. And what that means is it often it results in run-on sentences. So the goal for this practice and future practice is going to be to help improve comma usage and to reduce either fragmented sentences or run-on sentences, which are two common problems with seniors that I've had. Let's talk first about some definitions. So first definition, what is a run-on sentence? Again, this is like one of the most common writing errors that I see with my seniors. A run-on sentence is basically caused by a comma splice or a fused sentence, also known as run-ons. It's basically whenever you have a sentence that has two or more main clauses that are incorrectly joined together. So a run-on sentence, sometimes when we think about that, we think it just means a really long sentence, and that's not always the case. You can have a run-on sentence that's actually pretty short and doesn't contain that many words. The issue arises when you have two or more main clauses that are not properly joined with proper grammar and punctuation. So if you can cram two or more main clauses together with incorrect or missing punctuation, then you might ultimately hurt the logical parade of ideas. Whenever you have incorrect grammar or you put ideas together, sometimes you create unintended meaning. So I don't want to get too much into that, but ultimately we might get a chance to see what unintended consequences happen whenever you don't use proper grammar. First things first, let's define and continue defining clause. Again, according to what you see here on the screen, a clause is a element of or a segment of writing and grammar that we look at that is a bit different than a phrase. And the reason why I say this is because they're often commonly confused. So first of all, clause. A clause is a part of a sentence that contains a verb, a subject and a verb, generally. So you have to have some kind of subject that you're writing about, and then you have to have a verb or an action word that is put together with that. Combined, all of that equals a clause. A phrase is just a part of a small group of words that might add meaning to the sentence. It is not a complete idea because it does not have a subject, verb, and a predicate. And don't worry about what a predicate means right now. But basically, it's a phrase generally doesn't have a subject and a verb. Sometimes it might just be a subject or it might just be a verb. So anyway, we're looking at clauses today. And again, it's a group of related words that are used together as part of a sentence. So there are two types of clauses. And again, stay with me. The reason we're looking at this is because this often leads to issues with run-on sentences. So the two types are independent clause and dependent clause. So an independent clause, like an independent person, they are fine on their own. An independent clause expresses a complete thought, and therefore an independent clause is a synonym for an independent complete sentence. It's independent in nature and does not need additional grammar or punctuation to make it stand alone as a correct sentence that exists. So independent means it's good to go, it doesn't need help. A dependent clause does not express a complete thought and it cannot stand by itself. So it depends on the addition of parts of speech. It depends on punctuation to make it be a complete sentence. Okay, so again, just simple way of thinking that. Independent, I'm good on my own, don't need help. Dependent, I depend on others to add something to me, to stand alone, be complete. So let's look at some examples. This is one of the best way to look. So here are some independent clause examples on the left here. The crowd became violent. That is a clause that functions as a complete sentence. And if you were to have that in a piece of writing, it would be grammatically correct. A second example might be the police were compelled to take action against him. Okay, so the police subject, compelled to take action, is the verb phrase. So that works. So you have a subject and a verb, they're agreeing with each other, therefore it's a complete independent clause. Now, here's the thing. If you wanted to, you could join them together and you could put multiple clauses together to make a complex sentence. So this would be, if we wanted to join them together, the crowd became violent and the police were compelled to take action against them. That's fine. That is one way that you could write this sentence. And so we're going to look a little bit later in this presentation about independent clauses and how we can join independent clauses, 2 or more, using this really cool acronym called FANBOYS, which is just a list of conjunctions. So you can kind of see a list here. Again, we'll come back to that in a minute. Again, the other type of clauses are dependent. So again, this is whenever you have a clause or a segment of writing that is incomplete. It depends on the addition of more information. So some examples of dependent or incomplete phrases, or incomplete clauses would be that he would work hard. Okay, that's not a complete thought. Because the joke was funny. That is an incomplete sentence. That is a dependent clause. When I was younger. And this one's really clear. Third example, when I was younger. And that one's really clear because you can really detect that there is no verb. There's no action word. When I was younger, what? What happened? What is the action or the verb phrase that is in this? And there isn't one. If you don't hurry. So this one's a little bit harder to understand because we do see that verb phrase, hurry, which is an action word. So when you have dependent examples or incomplete clauses, you can solve it by adding a subordinate conjunction, which again, a conjunction is going to be these sort of filler words, these connecting words. There's another acronym that I'll use later beyond FANBOYS. But let's just see some examples of what I could do to fix these real quick. That he would work hard. I might say instead, I believe that he would work hard. So believe, the word I. Another one, because the joke was funny. We laughed because the joke was funny, right? So that adds a verb phrase to that sentence. I was dumb when I was younger. When I was younger, what? So I was dumb. And then you'll be late if you don't hurry. So again, subordinating conjunctions or additional phrase information might help to make that a complete sentence. All right, so let's continue looking at maybe some real world examples. So what I'm about to present is something that is not grammatically correct. So have a look at this sentence real quick. This is an incorrect sentence. Grandma still rides her Harley motorcycle. Her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. This is a run-on sentence. It's really not that long of a sentence. There aren't that many words in it, generally, relatively. But it is 2 clauses that are crammed together that currently are smashed together in a way that doesn't make a lot of sense. So you have 2 phrases that we could break down. Grandma still rides her motorcycle. That's clause 1. Her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. That's clause 2. Right now, this author is trying to put those 2 clauses together, and it's not working. They have to add something or do something to fix that. So let's talk about 4 different solutions to this problem. Solution 1 or strategy 1. You can make a run-on sentence into 2 complete sentences. So you could take this phrase, this whole sentence that's written here that's incorrect, and you could simply add a period after motorcycle and then capitalize her. Easy peasy. That's a simple fix. Grandma still rides her motorcycle. End sentence. New sentence. her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. This is going to be probably the easiest strategy. So this might be one that I suggest if you're not super confident with grammar or general like punctuation and writing. But I think you guys might be able to be a little more sophisticated than that. So let's look at strategy 2. So same thing, grandma still rides her motorcycle, her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. Strategy number 2, use a comma and then a coordinating conjunction, fanboys, to fix this. So a second fix would be to add some punctuation and then add a coordinating conjunction, a new word, using the acronym fanboys. So let's have a look at what that might look like. Grandma still rides her motorcycle, comma, and her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. So you can keep this as one sentence, one sort of complex or compound sentence because it has 2 clauses, simply by adding a comma and the word and. You guys probably know this. This is pretty easy stuff, but this is second solution. This is going to be my second strategy that I would recommend whenever you have a run-on sentence that we've identified for fixing it, adding in that comma and that conjunctive word. Let's look at the third fix. Same sentence. Here's the third strategy. This is a little bit harder, and later in the semester, hopefully we're going to have a look at semicolons and how to use them more effectively and practice the use of semicolons. Basically, a semicolon is a way of connecting 2 clauses together with a single sentence or a single piece of punctuation, excuse me. So here's what you would do. After the word motorcycle, you just add a semicolon. Grandma still uses her motorcycle. Her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. In this case, a semicolon is simply signifying that you are connecting 2 independent clauses, 2 complete clauses together into one sentence. Here's the thing when you use a semicolon, it also signifies that you want those 2 ideas to be connected on purpose. So they must relate, okay? Clauses should be directly related if using a semicolon. So grandma using a Harley motorcycle and her toy poodle balancing in the basket on that motorcycle, that's why that might work. If you were going to have sentence 1, grandma still uses her Harley motorcycle, and then another sentence, her toy poodle is eaten by her dog, those don't connect at all. So you would not want to use a semicolon. Again, the semicolon signifies that these 2 clauses or these 2 sentences have a strong relation with each other. All right, last one. This is probably the most complicated way to use a subordinate conjunction. This requires you to add some additional wording to make it make sense, and it also kind of changes the meaning a little bit. So let's look real quick. 2 possible ways you could do this. You could add the word while to the beginning of a sentence and then a comma after motorcycle. So it would read like this. While grandma rides her Harley motorcycle, her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. So this one again adds that subordinate conjunction at the beginning of the sentence, the word while. So while or during the act of riding her motorcycle, grandma has her toy poodle balancing between the handlebars. In order to do this effectively, you have to take out the word still. Another option would be grandma rides her motorcycle as her toy poodle balances in a basket between the handlebars. Again, same thing that works. It's just the addition of a subordinate conjunction, the word as. Okay, so again, those are 4 solutions for how you can turn a run-on sentence into a grammatically correct sentence. Let's do another one. This is incorrect. So Julie is a real hypochondriac when her stomach hurts. She is certain that she has a bleeding ulcer. Nice and lighthearted here. So this is incorrect. This is a run-on sentence because you have independent clauses that are being stacked together and squished together in a sentence that becomes a run-on. So we need to do something to fix it. So what I might invite you to do real quick is pause this video, see if you can come up with a solution, and then come back real quick. If you didn't pause, I'm just going to show you. Simple solution, strategy number one, just add a period after the word hurts. Separate these two clauses into two separate standalone sentences. Real simple. Julie is a real hypochondriac when her stomach hurts. Period. Full stop. Capital she. She is certain that she has a bleeding ulcer. Okay, it's real simple, easy fix. Let's make this more complex because you guys are seniors and I think you can handle a bit more challenge. So let's add to this sentence. Let's say this writer's really going for a full complex and run-on sentence. There is a way to keep this as one sentence, but let's have a look. In addition to Julie being a real hypochondriac whenever she's certain she has a bleeding ulcer, and if she has a backache, she believes that she has cancer of the spine. So Julie needs to get it together. She needs to quit worrying so much. How can we help Julie to write a complete sentence? Here's what we would say. You could add a semicolon and a conjunction to make it a compound sentence. And a compound sentence is basically, again, whenever you combine multiple clauses that are complete together into one complete sentence. So I did that simply by saying Julie is a real hypochondriac when her stomach hurts and she is certain that she has a bleeding ulcer, semicolon. And if she has a backache, she believes that she has cancer of the spine. Why you might do this is because you want all of these ideas to stay together in one strongly connected sentence. Hypochondriac leads to stomach aches, bleeding ulcers, backaches, cancer of the spine. Those are all connected together as ideas. So that might be why you add a semicolon, because again, that keeps it as one sentence. Here's another option that you could do. Use one of the 4 strategies to fix this. Make it into 2, like we've been doing. You can turn this sentence into 2 sentences. In order to do that, you have to add a conjunction after the word hurts, though. So Julie's a real hypochondriac, and she's certain that she has a bleeding ulcer, period. She has a backache. She believes she has cancer of the spine. So again, one of the ways that you can really simplify how to fix run-on sentences is by using coordinating conjunctions or subordinating conjunctions. We've been looking mostly at coordinating conjunctions, but another way you could do this is by doing a subordinating conjunction. And this is what your practice is going to be about whenever you do your no red ink. So coordinating conjunction is basically whenever you have a word that joins equally grammatical parts of a sentence. So 2 words, 2 nouns, or like we've been looking at, 2 independent clauses. So the acronym is called FANBOYS. So those are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. So let's look at an example. I love candy bars. I know they are not good for me. If I wanted to combine those independent clauses into one sentence, I might use FANBOYS. I love candy bars, and I know they're not good for me. I love candy bars, but I know they're not good for me. Okay, so those would be the 2 that would work there. So I said I love candy bars, comma, but I know that they are not good for me. Great. Okay, subordinating conjunctions. This one's a little more complicated, and again, this kind of changes the meaning a little bit. And I bolded why, but a subordinating conjunction is when you have a word or phrase that links a dependent clause to an independent clause. So again, from the beginning of this presentation, we talked about independent clauses being full, standalone, and complete sentences, where a dependent clause is not a complete sentence, and you have to add something to it. So this word or phrase indicates that a clause has value to add, signaling a sort of cause and effect relationship. Don't worry about this too much, but there will be times whenever you want to use SWABI acronym instead of FANBOYS acronym. So since, when, after, because, or if. So if you take a moment and look at these SWABI subordinating conjunction words, but try to apply them to the previous coordinating conjunction, it doesn't really work. And if it does, it's kind of a messed up phrase. So if you were to say, I love candy bars since I know they are not good for me, that's a little bit morbid. And I wouldn't think that that's true. So that doesn't really work there in terms of the meaning of the sentence. If you were to add like, I love candy bars after I know they are not good for me, again, that's a bit morbid. Although it may work in this case, I don't think it would be grammatically correct. So let's look at an example over here in the subordinating conjunction box. Because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt. If that were going to be a sentence, that does not work because that is a dependent clause. Because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt. Let's look at the second clause that we want to add to this. He couldn't ride in the Batmobile any longer. That is an independent clause because if we look at that, he couldn't ride in the Batmobile any longer. That has a subject and a verb and they agree with each other. So if we wanted to combine these two, the independent clause Batmobile any longer part versus because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt, use a SWABI conjunction word. Here's what you could say. He couldn't ride in the Batmobile any longer because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt. Okay. So that is one way that you could fix that sentence. All right. I don't know if you ever really had grammar as in-depth as we've done in this class so far, and that's okay. Ultimately, this is all practice, and if you're not feeling super confident about all of this, that's okay. That's why it's practice. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be visiting the No Red Ink assignment, and I'll just kind of take you here and show you what it looks like. You're going to be looking at conjunctions and complete sentences. So first of all, you're going to be identifying coordinating conjunctions, and then you're going to be identifying subordinating conjunctions, and ultimately fixing and determining whether a sentence is complete and grammatically correct. And it's not going to be that bad. If you're worried you still need a little bit more information, you could go to Khan Academy. And you can also go to Chomp Chomp, which is another resource that's really good for grammar. I love Khan Academy. I've admittedly not used it that much, but it's basically just like a service where it's donated, kind of like Wikipedia, and individuals make content that's really high level and fact checked and peer reviewed. So there is a really, really good Khan Academy series on grammar and how to use high level grammar. And in this specific link, it's going to help you recognize sentence fragments. And it's going to help you understand a little bit more with phrases like predicates and comma splices and run-ons. So that might be good. And then also, if you want, you can always go to Khan Academy and search. So if you want to search about clauses and what they are, that's not how you spell clauses. If you want to go and search, this is not working. There we go. You can click on clauses, and there's going to be a whole lot of results on different videos and lessons on Khan Academy that might be related to clauses. Okay. So again, this is only if you feel like you need more. If you feel good, go to the No Red Ink link. It should take you 15-20 minutes, get her done, and then we'll use that information to help keep teaching you. I want you to know that Ms. Hines and I are looking at your results, and what we're doing here and the lessons we're doing for your grammar is completely based on your performance with the No Red Ink. So do your best and good luck, and let us know if you have any trouble. And thank you. And this is a longer video than I had hoped for, but hopefully you got some out of it. Good luck, and we'll see you all later.